Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of Doctor Who Cold Vengeance that I picked up quite a while back of this record. Well, I picked up back in October of this recording. It's now November. So yeah, I mainly picked this one up because it's got Ice Warriors in and it's got Billie Piper as Rose back. She's reprising her role. So yeah, you've got Ice Warrior there, you've got this like sort of ring design around it, you've also got like what looks like the freezers in the story in the background, which kind of remind me of the design of that hospital place in New Earth, but yeah, then you've got David Tennant, Rose, and all the Doctor and Rose, and that lovely green design to go with the motif and all design of the Ice Warriors as well. It's a new series sort of Ice Warrior design, which makes sense in chronological order and all that. And you've got the reversible cover as well, or this is the reversible cover even, with the sort of 2005 sort of designed logo, Doctor Who logo, and then you've got the disc and the other side with the banner and all that. Then you've got on the back the cast bio of the story and that, a little bit of a sort of strip across there. It's the running time, which is 60 minutes, so it's an hour long, and then on the spine you've got Doctor Who Cold Vengeance, and then Big Finish little logo there, as well as 2.3, which means that it's Series 2, Episode 3. So there were 2 other episodes and or stories in the second series that I don't have currently, but I don't know if I'll pick those 2 up either, but there was also a Series 1 with the 10th Doctor, and that had Catherine Tate as Donna in it. So yeah, what did I think of Cold Vengeance? I enjoyed it. One thing, a little bit of a disclaimer, and I feel sort of ashamed to admit this, and that's somewhat because I adore the classic series. I do feel bad for saying this out loud, and that on the channel, as it were, but I have not seen any of the classic series Ice Warriors stories, so yeah, kind of feel bad about that, because yeah, this is obviously an Ice Warriors story. So I know that they started with Patrick Troughton, and then I think there was 2 episodes with Peladon in the classic series with Jon Pertwee, and then massive hiatus, and then they came back in Cold War and Empress of Mars, which I adore both those stories, and I like them enough in those stories to warrant me wanting to buy this one. This one's also written by Matt Fitton, who also wrote Technophobia in the first set of these stories, so yeah, and it is actually David Tennant reprising his role as the 10th Doctor, so it's not just like a person imitating his voice and doing that. Same with Rose. Rose is actually voiced by Billie Piper, and they both give a stellar performance. I think they were both really good in it. I don't think Rose had that much to do in it, which is a shame, but David Tennant, you can just tell that he's having a blast playing the part, and as well versing a sort of, well, not a golden oldie, but just a classic series monster, and that because outside of the Daleks, Cybermen and Master, I don't really think he had that many in his run, and I could see this maybe potentially being part of Series 2, sort of the latter end of Series 2 maybe, but then again, that series is tonally very all over the place, higgledy-piggledy, which is a bit odd considering that I do think Series 1 of the revived series is tonally more consistent anyway than Series 2, but that's a totally different video entirely. But yeah, the Ice Warrior voices are really good as well, and that, however, I do feel that there's just something a bit amiss, and that they missed the mark a little bit for me. They don't feel as intimidating as they did in both the new series appearances and that. So yeah, and I was thinking as well whilst I listened to this, now if you include this as canon, that means that 3 out of the 4 or 5 actually, 3 out of the 5 new series Doctors have versed the Ice Warriors. We don't have, obviously, the 9th Doctor versing them and that, or Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor versing them, but that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, you get some stuff with the 10th Doctor being all, like, sort of, not eccentric, but wartime sort of stuff, and that kind of seeps in a little bit. It does feel a bit all over the place in terms of pacing, as in, like, sometimes it feels like as soon as they give you a bit of a exposition dump and slows down the story, then immediately they have to be like the writer, Matt Finn, it feels like he immediately started writing a bunch of exposition and then immediately felt like he had to follow that up by, you know, adding a bunch of action and that, and it was a bit jarring. Like, as soon as I was, like, getting a little bit bored and a little bit, like, uninterested in the story, it immediately ramped up back to, like, you know, oh my god, 10 out of 10 urgency, you know, of like, you know, intensity and that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different little bits and pieces here, and they do try and add some stuff to the Ice Warriors here and there and that. And yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're a huge fan of the Ice Warriors, then this one's a no-brainer to pick up. And that the premise and the plot is pretty basic, but I guess because it's a new series, sort of Big Finish audio, it kind of has to be, because as well, you've got to keep it somewhat faithful to the source material and that, and obviously considering that new series episodes are only 45 minutes, there's only so much you can do with that. And that, but it does feel a bit more airtight and a bit more compact, I guess. There are some decent side characters. I like the robot character, and that, and then there's these pirates as well. And the Ice Warriors are okay, but as I say, I feel like the sort of intensity and gravitas and sort of foreboding sort of menace of the Ice Warriors seems to not be there for one reason or another. Like, they seem to be quite easily defeated or whatever. And also, if anything, towards the latter end, I get more I get more of a Silurian story almost with some of the stuff they go with, and some of the stuff they say in the story makes me think more of, like, humans and Silurians rather than the humans and Ice Warriors. But I guess if you're gonna do a sort of story that's gonna have some characters sort of try and be like, oh, but we could be peaceful, we could live together, of course you're gonna run into the whole sort of, but this is kind of like a retread of Doctor Who and the Silurians or the Sea Devils, but yeah, but with a different monster. But yeah, I mean, it was decent, and again, I think David Tennant was fantastic in the part. I don't know if he got a lot to do. I mean, he was fun, he was entertaining, and that, and he was definitely the highlight for me, which is odd to say considering he's not my favourite Doctor, but and the Ice Warriors, their sound really good. They sound really good, and like the new series counterparts, which is awesome, and that, so, you know, they sound perfect, and that, which I was a bit worried and concerned that the voice would sound a bit off for one reason or another. I don't know why, but I just did. And that, but overall, I think I'd give this a 7 out of 10. It's nothing extravagant, but it doesn't have to be, I guess. It's just maybe I was expecting that a little bit more here, because it does feature, for lack of a better term, a golden oldie, as it were, you know. So I thought maybe they'd sort of pull all the stops, as it were, you know, and try and add a bit more depth and a bit more stuff into the story. But then again, they are limited by the runtime and that. And also, if it was longer and more like a monthly range release, then it just wouldn't be representation of obviously the time period that they're trying to sort of emulate and copy in a way, and that it wouldn't be indicative of the time period that, you know, that era of Doctor Who was done in, and that, you know. But yeah, so yeah, 7 out of 10 for Cold Vengeance. It was a decent, you know, solid story. and if you're a big fan of the Ice Warriors, it's probably a really good pickup, a really good purchase. And yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.